In 2021, financial researchers analyzing decades of human behavior discovered a terrifying pattern. The average high earner will actively sabotage their own net worth the exact moment they cross the $80,000 threshold. It is not because they lack skill, but because their evolutionary biology is hardwired to view extreme wealth as an existential threat. Your brain is secretly keeping you broke because it mistakes a predictable, mediocre income for ultimate survival safety. By the end of this video, you will understand the hidden neurological trap that forces high potential earners to freeze right before hitting major wealth milestones. You will discover why your primitive survival mind forces you to make terrible investments to protect what you already have, rather than building what you deserve. But the final trap we will expose is the most dangerous because it is currently happening to you without your consent. For 99% of human history, survival meant staying with the tribe and conserving energy inside a dark, safe cave. Venturing too far into the unknown forest meant death, which is why your amygdala still treats any major deviation from your financial baseline as a lethal threat. When you try to transition to a true financial freedom mindset, your brain triggers a biological alarm, mistaking the discomfort of growth for an actual life or death crisis. But what happens when this internal alarm system begins to misfire on purpose? Researchers studying cognitive performance under pressure made a shocking discovery about how our minds handle monetary stress. They found that individuals under severe financial strain performed significantly worse on logic and reasoning tasks, effectively losing up to 13 IQ points. However, the moment that financial pressure was lifted, their cognitive abilities instantly returned to normal, proving that money worries literally paralyze your brain's processing power. But this psychological paralysis goes far deeper than just temporary stress. This brings us to a massive psychological trap called anchoring bias, which wealth advisors at Mission Wealth warn is the silent killer of portfolios. Anchoring happens when you latch onto one arbitrary number, like your peak net worth or your January 1st bank balance, and use it as a permanent anchor for every future decision. You stop looking at long-term wealth potential and start making panicky, short-term decisions just to get back to that single, meaningless baseline. But how does this bias force you to reject life-changing opportunities right when they appear? Now, here's the part that nobody in the mainstream finance space wants to talk about. Most high-earning professionals believe they are immune to these mental blocks because they have master's degrees or six-figure salaries. Yet, statistics show that these exact individuals are the most likely to experience severe wealth plateauing because they mistake comfortable golden handcuffs for actual freedom. They build a life of high expenses, trapping themselves in a cycle where they must work harder just to maintain a baseline that they do not even enjoy. But why does the brain choose this gilded cage over the path to true independence? To understand this, we have to look at how humanity's relationship with money has completely fractured over the last few decades. Academic reviews by researchers like Core in 2021 and Goncalves in 2021 analyzed financial well-being trends dating all the way back to 1978. They documented an absolute explosion in scientific research studying how modern humans perceive financial security. The data revealed that despite having access to more wealth than any generation in human history, our internal anxiety levels regarding money have never been higher. But what did these researchers find was the ultimate root cause of this collective panic? The root cause is that our brains are incredibly bad at processing compound growth, preferring the illusion of immediate, static safety. We treat money as simple arithmetic: earn more, spend less, when it is actually governed entirely by our subconscious nervous system. When you attempt to build a true financial freedom mindset, you're asking your brain to accept temporary instability in exchange for long-term freedom. For a brain wired to prioritize immediate survival, this trade sounds like absolute madness. And this is exactly where the phenomenon of subconscious self-sabotage kicks in with brutal precision. Have you ever noticed that right when you are about to pay off your debt, or right when your savings account hits a major milestone, a sudden emergency occurs? You suddenly decide to buy an expensive vacation, or your car mysteriously breaks down, or you make a highly speculative investment that wipes out your progress. This is not bad luck. It is your brain actively rejecting the discomfort of holding a large amount of unallocated capital. Your nervous system is screaming at you to get rid of the money because having it feels deeply unfamiliar and therefore dangerous. But how do we break this subconscious loop before it ruins your financial future? But this next study broke my brain, and it exposes the brutal lie we tell ourselves about what safety actually looks like. We are taught that being frugal, avoiding all risks, and keeping our money in a low-yield savings account is the ultimate responsible choice. In reality, playing it too safe is the single fastest way to guarantee that you stay financially vulnerable for the rest of your life. Inflation and market shifts will quietly erode your purchasing power while you sit in your comfort zone, thinking you are secure. But here is the terrifying twist that most people do not realize until it is far too late. The experts at BMI Federal Credit Union point out that real financial freedom is not about hoarding cash. It is about living comfortably within your means while maintaining a highly disciplined, active investment strategy. True security means having a robust emergency fund specifically designed to absorb life shocks, allowing your long-term assets to grow undisturbed. When you lack this buffer, every minor market fluctuation feels like an existential crisis. To reprogram your financial survival mechanism, you must first learn to decouple your emotional state from your daily bank balance. You have to realize that the feeling of fear when taking a calculated risk is not a warning of danger, but a sign of expansion. By embracing the discomfort of investing, learning from inevitable small mistakes, and stepping far outside your psychological comfort zone, you train your brain to tolerate wealth. You transition from a scarcity mindset that asks, how do I protect what I have, to an abundance mindset that asks, how do I leverage what I have to build an empire? But how do you start doing this today without risking everything? The first step is to establish an automation system that takes the emotional decision-making entirely out of your hands. Set up automatic transfers to your investment accounts the exact hour your paycheck lands, forcing your brain to adapt to a lower spending baseline. By making wealth building passive, you bypass the amygdala's alarm system entirely, allowing your net worth to grow without your survival instinct interfering. You will adjust to living on less, while your future self quietly accumulates the resources needed for genuine, lasting freedom. But there is still one final psychological loop we must close to ensure you do not undo all this progress. Remember the major study on cognitive strain we discussed earlier, where financial stress dropped IQ by 13 points. The absolute key to permanent wealth is realizing that you cannot think your way out of a financial trap while remaining in the exact same environment that created it. You must systematically build your emergency fund and automate your investments to remove the day-to-day pressure, freeing up your cognitive power to make brilliant, high-level decisions. Once you eliminate the constant survival panic, your brain's full processing capacity returns, allowing you to spot opportunities that were completely invisible to you before. Stop letting your primitive survival brain mistake financial stagnation for safety and start building the life you are actually meant to live. If you are ready to master your financial freedom mindset and break out of the safety trap, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Your future self is waiting for you to take the first step today.